Okay, hey everybody, welcome back. Or if it's your first time, welcome to, as you can tell by my lovely green screen background, I'm trying to fix it here. Wrestling Travels and Lockdown Sessions brought to you each and every time we do this. We're brought to you by our good friends over in London in the United Kingdom, Wrestle Merch Central. They are Europe's biggest store for all things professional wrestling. So please go to WrestleMerchCentral.com. They're always got new people signing up. Check out what they have right now. Hall of Famer British Bulldog has got some awesome merch over there. So anywhere you are in the world, please check out WrestleMerchCentral.com. But speaking of anywhere in the world, I'm very happy to welcome from pretty much across the world right now.
No doubt.
Yes. Chili Willy. Chili Willy, you're in the Philippines?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on. Just definitely.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm over here in the Philippines, man. It is what time is it? I don't have my watch on, but it's whatever time is there. It's time here. What time is it? 12?
It's got to be 1:11 over there by you.
Yeah, 1:11 a.m. Yes, 1:11 a.m. And it's hot as balls.
And if you and I could have shut our mouths, we could have started this like an hour ago, but we're just going bang, bang, bang. So we left a lot of good stuff unrecorded, so we'll see if we can get back into it. But
yes,
I want to start where I kind of start with everybody here. Now, I call these my Wikipedia facts, so you can correct me because I know Wikipedia will run me. Some days it makes me look like a genius, and some days it makes me look like the jackass that I am. So
well, let's see what happens.
So I know by talking with you where you got your start, but I want to back up even before you start in pro wrestling. You did some tough man competitions?
Yes. I actually, man, I'm gonna take it all the way back. I wanted to be a wrestler when I was 8 years old. Let's fast forward to 1990. I got married, moved to Rochester, New York. I did a tryout at the Monster Factory at Larry Sharp School once. So if the Wikipedia got me trained down at the Monster Factory, that's false. I just went there one time. I did a tryout, came back to Rochester, New York. I didn't have no money, so I had to work. Fast forward to 1996. 1996 is when I first really stepped in a major company. It was WCW. I tried out with WCW Power Plant, and I passed that. Didn't have no money, so there I couldn't go to that school. Came back to North Carolina, started training with C.W. Anderson. C.W. Anderson trained me. I was on the circuit with the Hardy Boys, Joey Matthews, Christian York, Lodi, Greg Helms, Mike Howell, those guys, Shannon Moore. So they were all in the North Carolina area. So yeah, I was wrestling. I started really in 97, but when I was on the independent circuit in North Carolina, when the weekends that I didn't have wrestling, sometimes whenever the tough man would come through our city, I tried out for it. And so I tried out for 4 of them. And yeah, I won all 4 of them in the heavyweight division.
Nice. That's always good. I always see Barstool Sports doing that, advertising with these different stuff, man. And they got, I don't know if they got better promos than we do, but some of these guys, I'm like, God, that dude's crazy. So, so the Hardy Boys promotion,
Omega, yeah.
So that gets a lot of, obviously as the Hardys have grown to be the stars that they are. Now, a lot of people will go back and that's got a lot of spotlight on it. Like, oh, Omega, I was at an Omega show. What were those like at the time? I mean, what were the crowds like? What was it?
Well, the thing was, in North Carolina, I worked for other promotions like SCW Promotions, which is called Gouge now. I think I worked for Omega maybe once or twice. I didn't work because they were in Cameron, North Carolina, that area. They were like maybe 2 hours, 3 hours away from where I was. I was more so closer to the Raleigh-Durham area. And so I would wrestle mostly in that eastern part of the triangle part of North Carolina. But when I did wrestle for Omega, it was like I said, once or twice, and the crowd was pretty good. It was nice, but of course they weren't. The Hardy Boys were just making their mark also, so they weren't like major stars yet. They were still doing dark matches in WWE and things like that. So they were just, they were getting their foot in the door as well. But other promotions, yeah, I was just doing, little promotions here and there for a couple of years.
Yeah, getting your feet wet. Now,
yeah, definitely.
Did you, growing up high school and stuff like that, did you play football or any sports?
Yeah, when I was, my high school, we didn't have pro wrestling. I always wanted to wrestle, but we didn't have it. So I was on a football team, track team, and weightlifting team. Didn't want to play basketball. Didn't want to play baseball. I always thought it was a little bit too, not too combative for me. You know what I mean? I wanted some, And so I played football, and at the end of my senior year, my coach he asked me, do you want to go to college? You want to play? I was pretty decent. I wasn't that good. I was pretty decent. And but he was trying to get me to go to a junior college because my grades sucked, man. My grades sucked ass. And I was like, no, my plan was to go and find a school and wrestle, because we would have these magazines, the wrestler magazines, and then they would have in the ad, you want to become a wrestler, come to Killer Kowalski School or some shit like that. And so I wrote them one time, and they wrote back, and they were like, hey, you want to come? Not knowing that I needed money. So, but it never happened. It didn't. And now, mind you, I didn't graduate. I graduated in 1987. I didn't start wrestling until 1997. That's how long it took me to start wrestling. So, yeah. So, but yeah, I wanted to wrestle, but we didn't have it.
That's the thing that we were talking off the air. A lot of the kids today, they can just jump on the internet or Facebook and practically can find a school. I remember I must have done the same thing. I wish I still had all my old wrestling magazines, but I remember corresponding to the Malenko School of Wrestling in Florida from up here in Wisconsin and speaking to Miss Phyllis Lee via handwritten letter. But yeah, same thing. I'm going to be this pro wrestling prodigy. And then they go, yeah, you just need money, kid. And it's like, oh, all right, well, let's delay this dream a little bit longer,
Always a catch, always that catch,
Do you see, I've told this story before, but Beyond the Mat, did you see that movie?
I think I saw bits of it. I'm not.
Okay. There's a
Maybe.
promoter on there. So this is now I'm like almost like you. Fast forward 10 years later, I'm in college trying to figure out how I can do this. And I end up somehow getting, I remember talking to Al Snow on the phone from the old dial-up with the cord phone in my dorm room. But I remember getting a call from this guy from Pacific Coast Pro named Roland Alexander, who, if you see the movie, he's a very large, your typical Carney type promoter, but he calls me. You'll appreciate this. So now I'm dumb when it comes to the business, obviously, at this time. He calls me and tells me that he's got my name on the list of the top 100 pro wrestling prospects in America. Get the frick out of here. I'm ribbing dumb. I'm like, you can't. I said, no, I got this thing in front of me. And I'm like, he wants me to fly out to California. And I'm like, there's no way my name is even would be on a list like that. I'm like, how? That was my first introduction to people will say whatever they want to say. So, but I mean, trust me, I hung up the phone as that last time I spoke with him. God rest his soul. But it was just weird, that a kid in the dorm room, and he's trying to sell me on that. But even as dumb as I am, I go, there's no way my name's on a list of, my name ain't been on a top 100 of pro wrestling anything,
That's crazy, man.
The reason
go ahead.
No, I was just saying the reason I kind of, we're talking off air. We got some similarities in our life. So I thought you'd appreciate that more than anybody. But so you graduated in '87, because I was going to ask, when you mentioned Raleigh Durham, to a kid like me who was growing up watching football, the Raleigh Durham Skyhawks of the World League of American Football, I thought maybe if you grew up there that you might have, because they were there for 1991, but that's going to be probably off doing other things at that time.
Yeah, as soon as I got out of high school, man, the next day I went back to New Jersey, and that's where I grew up at, basically in New Jersey. I just went to high school in North Carolina, to live with my mom because my grades was shit, and so. But the next day, man, I got on a plane. I was gone. I was out of North Carolina into New Jersey, and like I said, it took another 10 years before I even got, it really put my foot into a ring and really said, okay, this is what I'm doing. When I tried out for Larry Sharp, I think 1990, I just got married because I got married very young. My first marriage was 19, and I drove, like I said, from Rochester, New York, all the way down to Paulsboro, New Jersey. That's a hump. It was on a Tuesday night. I never forget. They had to try out for Tuesday night, and right after that tryout, man, I drove right back. So, I was really gung ho. I was ready to do it. But when he told me I think 3,000 or something like that, I was like, we can't afford this. My wife, I just got married. We ain't moving. We're not moving to New Jersey. You know what I mean? She was the one making the money. My ass was just trying to find a security job somewhere. So, but I think I want to say at that time, I'm not sure. I want to say that Tatanka was there. I swear. At that time, I didn't know. But when I look back and I see who was in there, I remember, I said, that dude looked familiar, man, when I saw him on television, of course. I said, that's the same guy, and it was him and some other guys, but I distinctly remember him. I think that was him when I tried out that night. But I was so scared, man. It was, I had a singlet and I put it on backwards. That's how scared I was. So the thin part was coming up just through my chest. The Nike, I think it was a Nike singlet. It was on the back part of my legs, and I just remember, man, I was like, I went out there, man, in front of these guys, man. I had on a singlet backwards. I was so nervous, and but it was cool. It was fun. It was an experience, I met what's his name, Larry Sharp, and so that was a good thing, I
got to tell you, the being nervous is not. I mean, I was the same way. You think it in your head, you're like, I hope this is a work. I mean, of course, you don't know those words at the time, but you get into the ring and going, oh shit, what I get myself into. And I got to tell you, having a singlet on backward is not the most comfortable situation for the boys.
Ooh, so was not. And he told me, he said, okay. And I mind you now, I didn't know how to run the ropes or nothing, no bumps or nothing. I don't think I bumped. I think he told, I think I did bump, but I know he said, run the ropes. He said, what you're going to do is go run the ropes side to side. So I just keep running. And he said, run faster. That's the only thing I remember. And my tryout was like 10 minutes, not even 10 minutes, 5 minutes. And it was like, done. I was like, shit, yeah.
The rest is history. So what leads you from the Monster Factory? Now, when you trained with C.W. Anderson, was this back in Carolina or where was it?
Yes. Now, like I said, I was in Rochester up until 96. 96, because I was working for Foot Locker, selling shoes. Well, they needed assistant manager in North Carolina, in South Carolina. So I had transitioned, moved from Rochester to North Carolina, found a job at Foot Locker. The manager wanted me to go to Myrtle Beach to open up a store, assistant manager. So at that time, I kept hearing on television because I was watching Monday Night Nitro and Raw at the time. They were doing a tryout. I said, "Oh snap! They're doing a tryout in Atlanta." I had some friends there that lived in Tucker, Georgia, and so I talked to them. I said, "Hey, can I come down and I try out?" And they were like, "Yeah, come stay with us." So I went down for 4 days and I tried out. And after that, I just stayed there for maybe another 2 weeks. And then I went back to North Carolina, and they were doing a wrestling show at my old high school. And since my father was a worker at the old high school, I snuck in the back door, of course. So I had to pay. And I saw the wrestling, what they were doing. C.W. Anderson's cousin was doing the PA sound system and everything. And I went over and talked to him. And I said, "Yo, how could I become a wrestler?" And he gave me his number. And we started practicing on Tuesdays and Thursday nights.
That's awesome. Like you're talking to the right person, you know. Of course, we don't encourage anybody sneaking into a show, but hey.
Yeah. So that's what happened. I mean, and the guy who was running the show, Big Slam, he just passed away last year.
I just talked about him.
Yeah. He was the one that was running the show. Me and him became really, really good friends. And after I started training, but CW started training me, and then CW started working for some other promotions. And so there's another guy that came in. His name was Gary Simone, and he polished me up a little bit more. And then, after that, CW came back because I think CW was trying out for, at that time, ECW. And Lodi, CW was also training Lodi. So Lodi was already in WCW. And so these guys, they were just, they were trying to get their foot in the door. And once CW got into ECW, they invited me up, him and Steve Carino.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next is let's talk about your time in ECW. And that just shows what a brotherhood in business that we have, that, you're working with him and he thinks enough of you. Even though the layman watching this is going to go, well, yeah, of course they were friends. He's going to try. No, that's a big deal to go, hey, you understood that he had a lot of faith and confidence that you wouldn't, because if I recommend you and you mess up, it's like I messed up twice.
Exactly. And I thought it wasn't, it was just, they invited me to come up to, and how it was with ECW was, you just don't go in there and just, try out. It was, you got to pop the boys, you got to make the boys like you or feel like they want to be around you. And so I went up just to hang out just one weekend. Nothing, they were just like, just come hang out, just watch our shows, because I didn't know anything about ECW. I had no clue what ECW was. And so when I went there, I was like shocked. I was like, oh shit, this is different from what we do in North Carolina, you know what I mean? And I remember the first night at the show, this is how tight they were. They were such a tight unit that they were signing autographs. And I remember New Jack at the time. I didn't know who he was, but he was signing autographs. So a fan came up to me because I was kind of standing off on the side. He said, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" And I was standing off to the side, but I was standing close to the table where New Jack was signing. And New Jack, he didn't know me. He didn't give a fuck. He was just like, yo. He was like, he don't work with us. He was like, hey, he don't work with us. You know what I mean? So why are you asking him for an autograph? And so I looked over at New Jack and I was like, to myself, I was like, who this motherfucker? I was like, yo. He was like, who this guy? But, I didn't say anything because I knew I was taught that, you don't go into someone else's house and disrupt. So you just be humble, just observe. So I just stood to the side. I didn't say anything, But it wasn't until the next morning. I think we were somewhere and we did a warm up or something. And Paul was there and Tommy was there. And I got in the ring with somebody. I forgot who it was. And they liked it. And so that night I worked Julio De Niro. I don't know if you remember him, but
Yes.
great worker, man. Great worker. And he carried me the whole match. It was at the Boathouse in, I want to say Richmond, Virginia, or somewhere in Virginia. And after that, Angel, Tony DeVito, I think, wanted to get off the ring crew. And so Paul said, hey, if you want to get on, we got a spot open on the ring crew. And I only could pay you $75 for the ring crew and $75 to wrestle. That's all you can get. I said, yeah, man, but why not? You know, I didn't really care about the money. Of course, it was the opportunity. I was like, yeah, okay. So that's what happened.
That's a big difference, you know, talking about that just brings me back. Hey, we got a spot coming open on the ring crew. Stuff that I don't think they hear nowadays, and how important. And I'm not taking away from any. I don't want to turn this into current wrestling versus the past wrestling.
Bashing or something.
I got a feeling that not a whole lot of people will take that attitude of, dude, opportunity on the ring crew, I'm taking it, because that's
right.
That's my next stepping stone to something else. Like you got to pay your dues. So,
and not only that, but just driving from North Carolina, every night, going to Philadelphia, pick up Mike Keener, the referee. Then me and him, still in my car, travel to Long Island, New York, park my car, jump in the ECW ring truck, and then drive wherever, whether it be Wisconsin, whether it be Chicago, whether it be Ohio, whether it be Florida, wherever the hell we had to go, and then come back. Me and Mike jump in my car. I go back. I take him back to his house, and then I drive from Philadelphia all the way back to North Carolina. So that happened about 6 months total, something like that.
That's some long hours, man. I mean, especially when at the end of the long drive, you're going to be doing some heavy lifting. That's
yes. Yep.
Well, hopefully Mike drove the ring truck a little bit for you, right?
Yeah. He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he drove a lot, man. It was we definitely took turns, But first, before him, it was me, Mike, and I think Tom Marquez. We were all three of us was in the ring truck. And then once I got there and really got the hang of it, Marquez, I don't know if he started flying or he started driving somewhere else, but it was just me and Mike for a long time, just me and him, just driving the ring truck, man.
Now I've seen some stuff on. Yeah, ECW, they used to ship their own merch. Did you get involved in that too?
No, I didn't touch the merch. I don't even think the merch was even on the truck. Yeah.
Now and granted, I could go back to Wikipedia, but prior to ECW, were you wrestling as Chili Willy, or did you have another moniker?
No. I Chili Willy was my name the whole time, my whole career. I did go as Chili Willy, the Ghetto Superstar at first when I first came out. But then because at first I wanted to become Cyrus the Virus, but when I was training with CW, I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know anything about ECW, and so we didn't know that there was already Cyrus already up in ECW, and so I changed my name. Luckily, I changed my name to Chili Willy, and I just stuck it. I stuck with that. Even when I did a dark match for WWE, I was surprised they allowed me to come out as Chili Willy, because normally they make you come out with your real name, and so they allowed me to come out as Chili Willy. I was like, what?
So talk to me now. as you transition to more of the in-ring, tell me about that, how you're developing. And I know you teamed with the Sandman for a
Well,
bit there.
yeah, it was well, in my independent days, I would just work, I was green as shit, and then when I went up to ECW, I was doing a lot of curtain calls, which is good, being the first one, come out on the match. I would work guys like Guido, Rodney Mack, whoever they would, Bill Wiles, those guys like that. And then every now and then, Paul would not have me tag per se with guys like Sandman, because I never tagged. I never actually tagged in or out with them. It was more of a, I don't know what you call that, man. To this day, I still don't know what you call it. When you are in the ring, but it's like it's like the promoter's trying to give you some a shine or rub off of the big name star, because Sandman would come in. Of course, he had his own entrance, of course.
Yeah.
I would already like be in the ring or somewhere walking down the ring, and then he would come in, and then it would be just like a brawl fight or whatever. It was never a tag match where, I'm catching a hot tag. Yeah. None of that. Never that. Only, the only time that was with me and Balls. And even then, even when me and Balls was tagging, we never did a hot tag, or I never did like I would start out the match and it's like, okay, we wrestled, hot tag, boom, 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 here's the heat, whatever. It was always me and Balls would come in, the Baldies would come in and jump us, and we fight inside the ring, fight outside of the ring, all around the arena, shit like that. Even with New Jack, I would be in the ring and New Jack music would hit, and then I think once with Raven. So yeah, that was it. It wasn't like I tagged with any of those guys pretty much. The longest was with Balls, but pretty much I was just doing my own thing. I had a couple of matches with Rhino. We would do some working. I remember one time in Minnesota, the college, we had a full match. And then a couple times at the Hammerstein, I think that was about it.
No, if you come out, you're around. That's a big part of your life, even though it's a short time, because you're just the names that in the business, including yours, that are around at that time. And then, are you there to the last minute till it kind of folds, or do you? I know you joined the Army, but do you do that?
I was there. Yeah, I was there. After 9/11 hit, I did not go. No, I didn't go to the last show. Because Tommy told me, he said he was telling a lot of us, actually, you don't have to go to the last show, because at that point, people weren't getting paid, a lot, and so the morale was very low. People was mad as shit. Tommy was taking money out of the merch. From what I heard, was paying guys, because we weren't even making a line at the door. And so he was just like, no, you don't have to come to the last show. And so when he told me that, and then I knew that the doors was closing, that's when I went and signed up for the military. I knew the writing on the wall. I said, okay, I'm done. I think my last actual match, me and CW, we went to England. The guys flew us out to England, and after that, when we came back after 9/11, that's when I signed up for the military, because we were scared to fly. We were like, oh shoot, well, hardly nobody was on the plane, you know what I mean? And so we were just like, yo, and when I came back, I was like, I got to find a job, because I had quit my job going back and forth with ECW, so I said, I got to find a job, man. So, it, I wanted to be in the military at one time in my life, but I was already 31 years old,
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I went into the military, I was like old as fuck. I was like old.
What does the 9/11 attacks, that has to play a part in your role of, hey, I'm going to be a patriot? And because I know we were all feeling that way, like let's go. A lot of people don't understand it, especially that are younger. But we were all, hey, you just punched us in the mouth. Let's go.
Yeah, I was like that in a sense, but I was also, I saw an opportunity. I looked at it as, okay, I see opportunity to go into the military. It's not they're drafting people, but you just basically just sign your name. You don't even really have to. I mean, we took a test, but did they really look at it? You know what I mean? So it was like to me, it was like a numbers game, And so I said, okay. And then because I really didn't want to go to war. I have to be honest with you. I was scared to go to war. I mean, there were some guys that thought they wanted to go to war, but they were younger guys. See, these guys, I was old when I went into the military. These guys were younger. I was older. And so a lot of these guys never had a fight. They never been in a gang fight or get jumped or whatever. So they were thinking, yeah, let's go to war. Let's go to war. Let's kick some ass. And I was like, yo, I just want to get a paycheck. I want to get a paycheck. I know I got to go to war, but if I really don't want to see no combat because the bullet don't have no names,
right?
And I was petrified. Seriously, I'm not going. But when it happened, when shit hit the fan, I was there. I was right there, and those same guys that was talking trash stateside, once we got down theater, they were the ones going to the medical. Oh, I can't handle it. I can't handle it. I can't handle it. So I was like, yeah, be careful what you wish for, because when it comes and you can't handle it, then, what are you going to do? So,
yeah, that's that maturity right there of, hey,
right.
I don't really want this, but, it's my job. When it happens, I'll be there, but I'm not going to say I'm, yeah, it's always easy to talk trash and stuff. So can I ask you a couple things based on Wikipedia on your military career? Because what I'm reading here is very, very cool. And I know that you're not going to be a guy to kind of pat yourself on the back, but you're in Iraq. You're injured in Iraq, and it said you come out of here with, is this accurate? You come out with the Purple Heart, the Bronze Star?
Yes. Yeah. We were
awesome.
I was infantry, 11 Bravo. And when we went to war, we went only as a company. We didn't go as a battalion. So our company was small, maybe 130 guys. And out of all of the whole Iraq, our company was split up in squads. So each squad has about 7 guys. And so out of my squad, I went to different parts of Iraq. My last part was in Samar, Iraq, and we were 11 cliques, between 11 to 15 cliques behind enemy line. So because they embedded us with special forces. We were not special forces, but we fought with the special forces. We were their security guys. We were like their bitch boys. So when they needed to go to sleep, we were up pulling security. Vice versa. When we needed to go to sleep, they were up pulling security, doing intel. When they roll out to find certain enemies, we would go with them. They took our name tags off, our patches off, everything. So you didn't know what we were. They let us grow our beards, our long hair. We looked just like a real SF guy, but we didn't have the credentials they had, but you couldn't tell us apart. And so we were stuck in a safe house, man. I don't know, maybe 2 months in Samar. And that safe house, like I said, was 11 cliques. behind enemy line, meaning we were almost 10, 12 miles down the road from any other American forces. We were in the heart of the insurgent, and they knew we were there. They knew we were there. So every night, probably around 5:30, especially around Ramadan, they would hit us with mortar rounds. Boom! We would call it RPG 30. Because instead of calling it 5:30, we say it's RPG 30 time. And so once we hear our the mortar rounds hit our house, and the house was a what do you call it? Oh shoot, it was a city hall. So before we got there, the SF guys had went in and took over City Hall. We came in and we helped secure it. Right beside it was a cemetery. Have you watched that movie? I want to say 12 Strong, not 12 Strong. There's a movie out, Benghazi, I want to say, maybe.
Yeah, what is that called? 13 hours or something like that? I don't know.
Yes, there you go. 13 hours.
Yeah.
Our shit's just like that. I know when I saw the movie, I said, man, they probably stole that from us or something, because the cemetery is right beside our safe house. So we had 15, 20 Kurds that was also helping us, because the Kurds didn't like, they're northern Iraqis. They fought Saddam. Saddam gassed them back in the 90s. So anyway, they were helping us fight. Well, like I said, we was fighting every day almost for 30 days, almost 30 days straight. I'm talking every night. Boom, boom. 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. Boom, boom. Never in the daytime. Never in the daytime. Always at night after they finished eating because they were fast all day, and then they eat, pray, and then they're ready to go out and die for Allah or whatever. And we were fighting police officers that we thought were police officers. They would go in and change, and we didn't know who we were fighting. We just,
that's kind of,
yeah, cars would run down beside our house, with RPGs, And so anyway, make a long story short, one day we were out, and we called in engineers, the Army Engineer Corps, and those guys were scared shitless. They didn't want to come down there. So they came down there with some bulldozers. They're National Guards guys, not knocking the National Guard guys, but these guys, they were like, man, they didn't want that smoke. They didn't want it at all. They were trying to hurry up, build up our barrier, and get the hell out of there. They were from Louisiana, never forget. Well, while they were doing it, we pulled a security for them outside the wire. The insurgents saw that. They keyed up on us. They started hitting us with RPGs. No, I'm sorry, mortar rounds. Wow. And one hit in between me and my friend caught him in the throat. He caught his in the throat, and then I just got shrapnel. And we made it inside the wire. I collapsed. And then they took us down. They flew us out of there to Balad Air Base. And that's how I earned my Purple Heart. And yeah. Wow. That's how I heard, yeah. And then the funny thing was, while I was resting up, this is 2003, 2004, 2003, WWE came to their first USO show, wrestling show. They came to Iraq. Well, Rhino was with them, and because me and Rhino was in ECW, he told Vince or them guys to come over to my camp to see if I was there. But I was already in the States. I went back to the States because I was injured. But they came, Stone Cold and all those guys, signed autographs with my company and the whole nine. That was the first USO tour.
That's awesome. Now, when 2004? that you try out with Ohio Valley? OVW?
2004 is when I got released from the military. Yeah, 2004, 2005, pretty much 2005. I didn't try. I was sent before I left the military. I had already signed a contract with WWE because Paul got me in. Yeah, Paul wanted me to do. I guess they had the gimmick with Muhammad Hassan. You remember that gimmick with
that didn't go so well. Yeah.
So I was supposed to be the new, I guess, G.I. Joe guy. G.I. Bro or whatever.
G.I. Bro, yeah.
Yeah. They wanted me to do that gimmick, but I came straight from the battlefield straight into OVW, and I wasn't feeling it. I lost all wrestling skills. I was in fighting mode. You know, I couldn't get it out of my head, so it didn't go well. So I only stayed there probably 6-7 months, maybe. Yeah.
And then how long does it take you then to get back into wrestling mode? Where you're like, all right, I'm back on the
it probably took me another, 2006, 2007, around 2008 or 2009. I really started to feel like I wanted to wrestle again.
Awesome. Now I'm gonna skip around here because I want to be very respectful of your time and the listeners' time here, the watchers.
Yes.
You're currently in the Philippines, and you're working with, is it Philippine? You're helping out wrestling training over there. Is that
okay? Before the pandemic, I was doing pretty much like consulting. They have three promotion. One, PWR, Philippine Wrestling Revolution, MWF, Manila Wrestling Federation, and then at the time it was called AOW, Art of War Wrestling. Well, I started training the guys from Art of War Wrestling. There's about 25 students at the time, and now since it's broken up, and then we have the pandemic. But before the pandemic, just consulting, helping out, you know.
How do you end up in the Philippines, Willie?
Ooh. Came here in 2009.
2009, okay. So you've been there a while. Wow.
I just visited 2009. And then I went to Costa Rica and lived there for 4 years. And then I said, I'm going to go back to the Philippines because the Philippines has a VA hospital here. So I can get, my medical treatment from the VA here. So, and then plus
it's hot as balls at midnight, right?
Oh yeah, it's hot, man. It's hot right now. You know what I mean? But it's good, man. It's very nice. The weather's nice, but not now because of the lockdown. We're back on lockdown. Just started today. So
okay. That's what I was going to ask. How it's been throughout the life. It's funny, man. Like I was talking to you off the air. We can have shows here, but now 2 states down the road, they can't have any shows. It's been like a movie. And then we have an earthquake in the Philippines right now.
Yeah, they we had one the other day. We had one the other day, and but it was far from where I am. So, but I still felt the tremors.
I should not make a joke like that as your device falls. I suppose in a place like that.
It was right on cue. That shit was right on cue.
I'm like, oh man, here we go. I'll be the next thing canceled. So, look, before I want to wrap up, but I want to wrap up with something big here. You are for everybody watching. You have started a podcast. Can you tell us all about that? What it's called and what's happening with that?
Yes, I have two actually. I have one. It's called CRIMA, which is Combat Ready in International Mixed Martial Arts. And so basically, I just talk about UFC fighting, bare knuckle fighting, boxing, pro wrestling. But currently now I'm just interviewing the Filipino wrestlers here in the Philippines. Yeah. And so you can catch me on that. I'm usually on Facebook Live every Saturday at 6 p.m. That's probably 6 a.m. your time, but 6 p.m. here in the Philippines. But the one in America is called A and C Podcast Unraveled. and that's usually every Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, American time. So that's I co-host that with a young talented guy named Andrew Campbell. He's a cancer survivor, actually, but he's very tech savvy, and he's also training right now to be a pro wrestler down at the Fracture Factory, where I trained at some with C.W. Anderson's cousin Dana Wright and Michael Devine. Michael Devine was trained by Fabrice Mueller. So Andrew he's the one that headed that one. But we do that on Saturday nights, 8 o'clock. And tomorrow we'll have James Ellsworth there. The next weekend we have Caprice Coleman. And yeah.
How many shows of that have you done of the Unraveled?
We've been doing that for 1 month now. So about 5. I think we have about 5 because we did one. Yeah, I think 5. So far, 5.
Well, I'm going to give you a ringing endorsement. I want people to check that out, and we will, on our wrestling travel, when this airs, we're gonna tweet it out and try to send as many people your way. You will have you'll have trouble beating what I do, though, because I want you to know that I've already been declared by the World Health Organization, my podcast, as a cure for insomnia. You're gonna have trouble beating that, buddy. I always say that. I'm like, most of our listeners, nobody has trouble sleeping when they're listening to me. So, but no,
awesome.
looking forward to catching that, and I really can't thank you enough for being on. And hopefully, this is appearance number 1 over here, and we can get you back on. So I want people to check that out. You've already pushed it, but my most important question, and I always end with it, where can the fans find Chilly Willy on social media? We just named the podcast. We can name them again. Is there merch for sale, or how can we, because you got a great story. We just kind of touched on it, and I know people will want to be able to check you out.
Nice. Thanks. I appreciate it. I don't have merch yet. Well, I don't have any merch. I haven't really wrestled. So, but you can catch me on, I do get on Twitter a little bit. That's, William Jones, ECW, Chilly Willy. Facebook, same thing. And then my Instagram is also Chilly Willy Jones, ECW.
Fantastic.
Instagram. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And as this podcast takes off, there might be podcast merch and stuff like that, Chilly Willy. And hopefully when the world opens up again, we can catch you at some events and catch up and have a bottle of water or a glass of beer or whatever it is, or and so I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And, we'll see you next time.
Yes, and we got to have you on our shows as well, Justin, man. I really appreciate you for taking the time out, man, for inviting me to come on. And so got to get you on. We got to get you on Unraveled also.
I'd love it. It'd be awesome. We could put some people to sleep having me on there. It'd be perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Hang tight.